What's going on, Falcons fans? Logan here. Welcome back to Rise Up Rundown. And if you're new here, welcome. It is time for part 4 of the mailbag questions since they returned. And yet again, you guys have asked some brilliant questions. And your guys' support lately has been incredible. Even when I have a video that you don't agree with. Like the comment section in my latest Jalen Carter video, there's been comments that said, love the videos. But, then they said why they disagreed or, something along the lines of that. And I'm basically just saying it's nice to see that even when we agree and disagree, we're both, we're all in this together. And it's just nice to see that we support each other no matter what happens. And so that means that we're all doing a great job and we're all doing the right thing to keep this community at a even level. Like there's no one that hates each other. Everyone supports each other. And that is just what I've always wanted. And it looks like we're all in this together. So that looks like it's all good and well. And I thank you guys for that and for sending in some questions. Since the mailbag questions returned, I thought I wasn't going to have a great start with this. But no, these questions have been coming in and they're great questions. So just wanted to give you guys a shout out for that. And I just hope that I can provide with the best content that I can. And without further ado, let's get straight into the questions. Mark Jones asked, I've always believed that everything begins and ends in the trenches. Do you agree or disagree? Having asked, what would you do if you were in charge? I agree, actually. I think you should build the trenches. Now, what would I do? Well, let's start with free agency, because that obviously comes first, then the draft. We have the second most cap space in the league, and you know what I would do with it? Build a whole team except for pass rush. And hold on, I'll explain why. But I'm thinking, we could use another wide receiver, number 2, alongside Drake London, and also some veteran help for him. We could get, Keenan Allen or something. That's personally what I would like, is like Keenan Allen on the side to not even just be help on the offense. But also to coach up Drake London, and maybe, I know Kyle Pitts is not a receiver, but maybe Kyle Pitts could learn a thing or two from Keenan Allen. You just never know. So those 2 young players could use some veteran help. And we also could just use a player that can, he's maybe not in his prime, but he can still play a little bit. So I think we could use a veteran wide receiver with that cap space. Hopefully we could get Jesse Bates. That's what I would obviously do. I don't care how expensive he is. We literally have the second most cap space in the league. Might as well get a big impact and not even just, get a superstar on your defense alongside Grady Jarrett and AJ Terrell. But in the future, obviously NFL players are going to be looking at that. Like, whoa, are you looking at Atlanta? Like they got Grady Jarrett, Jesse Bates, and AJ Terrell. It's just kind of like, not eye candy, but ear candy, I guess. Like just hearing those names, and the NFL recruits are gonna, find that pretty intriguing. We could use cap space on maybe a veteran left guard to hopefully, I don't know how much longer Jalen Mayfield is gonna be here, but to coach up Jalen Mayfield, hopefully. But for pass rush, I think you can address that in the first round of the draft. Now, Jalen Carter's stock is going down. As long as nothing is too serious, maybe he could be good for us. Or Miles Murphy from Clemson could also be pretty good for us. And then in the second round and below, honestly, you kind of just address every other need that you feel you didn't get yet. If you don't feel great about center, I guess, I guess you could go get like a center in the second round. I don't know, basically just, wide receiver and safety and probably a little more on the offensive line is what I use in the cap space over free agency. And then in the first round of the draft, I'd use it all on pass rush. Mason Yoder asked, how likely do you think it is that the Falcons sign Jesse Bates? Keep up the great work. Thank you, Mason. In my Jesse Bates video I made not too long ago, I said, what did I say? I think I said there was a 60% chance we'd get him, I think. And not gonna lie, nothing has changed. I think it is still a 60% chance of landing Jesse Bates. Because obviously, he has chemistry with the Falcons. There's literal video proof that he's having a dinner with Kyle Pitts, AJ Terrell, and Casey Hayward, a lot of Falcons superstars. So we know that he has something in common with the Falcons squad, and the Falcons have the second most cap space in the league, and it's a need. So, I think it's a 60% chance it happens. Terry Fontenot's kind of hinting that some cool things are going to happen to Atlanta. Granted, coaches and GMs always hint that there's cool things in the press conference, but sometimes it doesn't always add up. But it's looking kind of promising, so I'd say 60%. X Sports asks, how much do you think is too much to trade for Lamar Jackson? And if we were to complete the trade, how much do you think is too much to pay him? Good question, because, so deep down inside, the inner Falcons fandom inside of me, if the Falcons actually did land Lamar Jackson, I would still be kind of excited because it's like, whoa, a big name quarterback is now on the Falcons. But up here with my head, if I were the GM, I personally would just use the cap space to build a team around Desmond Ridder and see what Desmond Ridder has for a full year. But say we know where this is heading with Desmond Ridder and we need Lamar Jackson. How much is too much? I don't know. I mean, it does kind of depend on the moves that the Falcons make. Because a lot of players that the Falcons have are players that you shouldn't really let go of. There's a lot of young players on the Falcons, and it would be a huge mistake if we get rid of a lot of them. Like, let's say the Ravens could use like another, I don't know, like maybe we need to trade away Grady Jarrett and like a first and second rounder or so. Like, just for Lamar Jackson, I don't know. I mean, that's probably what the Ravens would want or something on those lines, but that is kind of a lot just to get a quarterback. So, I don't know. If you're giving up a superstar and a lot of draft capital, I mean, this Falcons team is still in some pretty heavy needs of some needs. So, I don't know. I would be careful with how much you're going to pay for Lamar Jackson. But if we had to get him, what would I do? It is a little early, so this obviously can change because we don't know the new free agency players we got. Like, it's all unknown at the moment. But I guess if the Falcons had to get Lamar Jackson, how much to pay him? He's going to demand a lot, and I would say, yeah, I don't know. I think it's a little too early to tell. It's a little too early to tell at the moment. So we'll probably have to come back to this question. Unfortunately, it is a little too early to tell. I think we'll have to see, who the Falcons, get, and then we'll see where it goes. Kale the Gamer 14 asks, do you think Desmond Ridder, Drake London, and Tyler Algier will combine over 5,000 total yards? I don't really see why they wouldn't. Desmond Ridder, hopefully with a full year of starting, can improve. I like Drake London a lot. He should have reached 1,000 yards. And then Tyler Algier is just awesome. So, and then I still do believe in Arthur Smith. I don't really see why we can't get over 5,000 yards. Or at least come very close to it. I just think at the very least we'll get and this is kind of optimistic thinking, but it's also kind of realistic. I think at the lowest we'll get a combined total of 4,700 yards. And then at the highest, 5,000 yards. So either way, it comes close. RC Plane Builder 2 asks, pick a QB to compete with Ridder. Carson Wentz, Gardner Minshew, or Trey Lance? So I like that question, and they're all kind of similar. Trey Lance, I think, is a little too unknown to compete with anyone, really. The Niners aren't going to let him go because Brock Purdy, I think, is out for the whole entire year. Geez, Kyle Shanahan just can't catch a break with these injuries. That's like kind of, I mean, I shouldn't be laughing, but like, it's just kind of like, how in the world does this keep happening? But like, so I don't see how the 49ers aren't going to get rid of him anyway. But if they did, I think he's a little too unknown to compete with Desmond Ridder. I don't know if like, you know, any of the two would actually learn anything because they both are so unknown and there's no veteran presence anywhere with Desmond Ridder and Trey Lance. And I liked Trey Lance coming out of college, but I didn't like love him. Like I thought like coming out of a smaller school, there were obviously some things that he could have fixed, but I don't know. Like I don't know if I'd get Trey Lance. Carson Wentz, I mean, you know, he's okay. So I think people probably do realistically give him a little more crap than he actually deserves. He really actually can play a little bit. It's just when he makes a mistake, people don't let him forget it. His mistakes are laughably bad. Just like, you know, it's mistakes of like, dude, what are you doing kind of mistakes. And I think it's just confidence with Carson Wentz too. Seeing Nick Foles win the Super Bowl, maybe, I'm not going to act like I know him personally, but maybe it made him go like, oh, so maybe I wasn't actually an MVP. It was just the team around me. And then, you know, seeing a backup quarterback in Nick Foles win it, he's like, so, you know, did I even have to stay healthy? Like, you know, it looks like it wouldn't have mattered. And, you know, changing offensive coordinators and teams over and over is obviously going to ruin your confidence. I think this is what my brother said on Twitter, but like, I think he could use what Tua Tagovailoa had, where he just needs a little bit of a coach and a mentor to just show him everything he does right and just boost up that confidence. Because I think Carson Wentz just doesn't have it. Tua didn't have confidence before 2022 until Mike McDaniel came in, and then Mike McDaniel showed Tua what he does well on the field, boosted up his confidence. Tua started playing well. So Carson Wentz could use that too. But speaking of confidence, Gardner Minshew does have confidence. It's just, you know, his actual play on the field is okay. It's average, but you know, you're not sitting there thinking that he's the franchise quarterback, but you definitely root for him to be. So, I mean, I guess I would get Gardner Minshew. Like, he's a confident, fun locker room guy, and his play really isn't even that bad. I think Arthur Smith is a guy that can maybe coach his career around. But with all that being said, you know, I'm hoping that they could still sit behind Desmond Ridder and we can see Desmond Ridder start for a full year. But those are my, well, let's check and see if that was all the questions. Yeah, those were all the questions. Thank you guys for those questions. It was a really fun one. And I will see you guys with a video this Tuesday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern. Love and appreciate you all for the support. And as always, rise up.